Okay, now let's look at Wechler's adult intelligence scale. So this was an intelligence test developed by David Wechler. So he designed a set of tests actually. It is not a single test but a group of tests. It included both verbal and non-verbal things. Non-verbal in the sense it was performance based. So this was also of two kinds. Wechler's adult intelligence scale was for adults and Wechler's intelligence scale was for children. So it measured intelligence of both adults and children. So now let's look at what David Wechler himself believed about intelligence, which led to the development of this test. So he believed that intelligence was not a singular entity, it was multi-phased in nature. Okay, so this was the core concept of his test, but then at the time when it was developed, it was not seen like that, it was seen as a singular entity, so it was not well understood. Okay, so now currently the fourth version of this test is being used, so it was constantly improved. So this is the fourth version now. So let's see the description of the test. So there are 15 subsets. 15 is for adults, 12 for adults over 69 years of age. So they measure lesser abilities. So all of these test subsets are organized into index scales. You will see further on. See, these are subsets. You will look at, see, these measure two types of IQ, verbal and performance. We will look at that later. There are 4 index scales: verbal comprehension, working memory, perceptual reasoning and processing speed. 4 domains. Okay. So when we calculate the scores of all, we get the final IQ, the full scale IQ. Okay, now let's come back to this. Some of the subsets are compulsory, they are core, they are the most important, and some are supplementary, they just add on to the core ones. So as we have discussed before, there are 2 types of IQ, verbal and performance based. At least in this test, this is what is measured, and each of them have 2 components. So verbal measures verbal comprehension and it also measures working memory. Performance IQ measures perceptual reasoning and processing speed. So these are the subsets of the subsets. Okay. Now, okay, this is just for understanding. We'll go deeper into this. So let's look at verbal comprehension. Okay, so first is similarities. These are all the tests, singular tests. So similarities, the individual is given 2 or more objects, and they have to find a similarity between the 2. For example, they may be given a pen and a pencil. They have to identify that they are both used for reading. For writing. So yeah. So this measures all of these: abstract verbal reasoning, concept formation and all, but then you can just write it measures verbal comprehension. Okay. Then information. So here they are asked questions about general knowledge. So this is one of the limitations we will study on later, because general knowledge is pretty subjective. So yeah. And then vocabulary. This in this test, no, some of the items are verbal and some are picture. Here they are asked, like for example, they are asked a word and they are asked to define it. So this is also pretty subjective. And then comprehension. Here they are not asked like factual information which has a right or wrong answer. It is just used to assess their common sense and basic concepts, understanding of basic concept and about social situation. These are also very subjective, they are not factual. So all of these measure verbal comprehension. Okay, moving on. Working memory index. So this is the second domain. This includes digital span, arithmetic and letter number sequencing. So digital span includes 3 tasks. One is forward task, backward task and sequencing task. So here the examiner tells the individual a set of numbers and they are asked to repeat the number set in the sequence which has been told, that is the forward task. In the backward task, they are asked to repeat it in backward sequence, and then in the sequencing task, they are asked to sequence the numbers from lowest to highest. Then, see, there is also a trick to know what it measures. Here, it's not only working memory; it's working memory, attention, and mental manipulation. So it's all common here. Then in arithmetic, they just have to solve arithmetical word problems, basically maths problems. Then letter number sequencing. The same way, they are given a set of numbers, a set of letters. So here they are asked to recall the numbers in ascending order like the sequencing task earlier, and also recall the letters in alphabetical order. Okay, next. Perceptual reasoning. So we are just done with verbal IQ. Now we are going to the performance based IQ. Here, block design. Required to produce a pictured design using special blocks. So they are given a two-dimensional figure in the form of a picture, and they are given blocks, physical blocks, and you just, like for example, they are shown a picture of a cube, and they have to make that cube using small blocks. So yeah, that. And then picture completion. Here, this is very interesting. Here they are shown a picture of a scene or an object. You just have to identify what is missing in that. This is also pretty, this is also like common sense, but then yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like for example, let's say they are shown a picture of a bicycle. The bicycle is missing a handlebar. Okay, so the subject has to identify that is missing. Okay, then matrix reasoning. Individual completes a matrix or a social reasoning problem. So yeah, you just have to complete a matrix or a serial reasoning problem. Sorry. Okay. Then visual puzzles. They are individual selects response options which could be combined to produce geometric images. So they are shown a list of options which they could choose from, and choosing a set, like you just have to choose a combination of them which can produce a geometric image. And then figure weights. In this, they are given a scale, like on the screen they are given a scale like those manual scales which balance things, and then in that they are given geometric shapes as options, a set of geometric shapes. In that you just have to balance, like let's say two small squares are given in one side, and you have many options. You have 3 big circles, 2 small triangles. You just have to choose the correct options which would balance the scale. And those shapes are in different colors, geometric shapes in different colors. Then processing speed. So here we have 3 again. Oh, there are 4 in perceptual reasoning, my bad. Okay. Then we have processing speed, again 3. Here symbol search. Here you are required to search for 2 target symbols. So there are 2 rows of symbols which are given, many symbols, and you have to identify which one or many of the symbols are repeated in both the rows. Then coding. Here the individual is given a key paper. Okay, so that includes a set of symbols, a set of numbers. So each number has a respective symbol for it. Then in the test they are given a set of numbers. You just have to look at the key paper and then copy the symbols of that number. Got it? Then cancellation. This is also pretty fun, I feel. They are required to search and cancel the specific colored shapes. So they'll tell you a specific colored shape. For example, a pink triangle. Okay, you have a set of shapes in different colors. You just have to go find all the pink triangles and cancel them out. Then the scoring of the test. So these are all the domains. Now we go to the scoring. Each subset provides a score. Each one of the tests has a score, and these are then scaled to a metric with a mean of 10 and standard deviation of 3. This is just factual detail, you just have to remember. Then all the domains, the verbal comprehension, working memory, perceptual reasoning, processing speed, they are all domains. So once you get the scores of all the tests under it, you will find the mean, you will find the sum of the scores for that particular domain, and that helps us calculate the index scores. So verbal comprehension index, okay, the score of the entire domain. Then when you sum up the scores of all domains, we get full scale IQ, it's the entire IQ. When you combine full scale IQ with composite scores and index scores, you get, you have to scale it again to a metric of, to a metric with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15. So this is also again factual detail you have to remember. Then now let's look at the limitations. So as we just discussed, the scoring is pretty complex. There's a lot of mean situation going on here. So yeah, it's pretty complex. So the examiner, the person who evaluates the exams, has to be extremely careful, as a lot of errors can occur. And then there's a certain degree of subjectivity. This is what I've discussed earlier. So in vocabulary, for example, they are given an easy word. Okay, so it is very subjective on what easy is and what difficult it is. So it's pretty subjective. And obviously it does not assess creativity, motivation, emotional intelligence, etc. So that's a drawback of this. And it may not apply to people from ethnic minorities and lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So this is not a culture fair test. The Cattell's test we are going to study about later is a culture fair test. It can be applied to all ethnic groups. It cannot be applied to ethnic minorities, maybe because they don't speak English. So they don't know, like difficult words in English. And to lower socioeconomic backgrounds, because they don't have the economic capability to study as much as people who are privileged can. So their vocabulary is also not that great. I mean, generally speaking. So yeah, that's it.